werden du ton a jeden viel na Pam Achos, und danach weiß man nicht, was es mit dem sein morgen in der Früh, zu übermorgen, wie kann ich was. Am seit was kommt vor in der Welt. Was jede Welt Schockelsach und Treselsach, wachule. Und der Rambam passt in Top, als recht, durch ein Mitzvah wird ein Ufton im Nevi Yeshua zolle Leben.
My wife and I moved to Las Vegas in the summer of 2015 to open Chabad of Red Rock. We began just by knocking on people's doors. We would go on Thursday or Friday with a challah, or earlier in the week with a bag of cookies, and try and find Jews in the neighborhood and connect them to their neshama, to their soul.
I was sitting and watching a football game, and I had a knock at the door, and it was Rabbi Rifkin and his wife. I said, "Come on in, Rabbi." And that was it. From that day on, my whole life changed. Being invited for Shabbat dinner, seeing that everybody there was mixed, religious, non-religious, people that have just wanted to be Jewish and follow the Jewish traditions. That made me go further because I was comfortable. They made me feel very comfortable.
In 2016, we began holding events in our home, but they still maintain the aspect of the power of one. I remember when we hosted our first Jewish Kids Club, we had potentially about 15 kids interested in coming, but when the night of the event came, only one cute little boy showed up, and we ran the program as if there were 15 kids in the house. And now he's a proud boy in our Hebrew school along with 30 other children. When we hosted our first ladies event in our house, I was all excited, got everything set up, all perfect, but for whatever reason, about a third of the ladies showed up that evening. So instead of everyone going home with 10 hamantashen, they went home with 40 or 50 hamantashen. And they had a great time, but I remember that evening being pretty down and pretty upset about it, and I was honestly ready to pull the plug on all Jewish Women's Circle events. But then I spoke it over with my husband, and he reminded me how the Rebbe always encouraged us to keep going, keep trying, even if just one person comes. It's all about the personal relationships, working with one person at a time. Thank goodness we didn't give up, because fast forward a couple years later, we have the incredible Rosh Chodesh Society, where ladies love getting together every month to learn, to schmooze, to connect, and to have a good time.
Eventually, one friend brings another, and in the next few years, from 2017 through 2019, we began meeting hundreds of people at various events. However, throughout it all, our focus remained the same. It's the power of one person at a time, one mitzvah, see how we can channel all of those encounters into just one more good deed.
I went because I wanted to connect. I really needed a greater sense of spirituality, and I needed a greater sense of knowing and understanding how to connect to Hashem and learning what it meant to really be a Jew. The Tanya has been a great eye-opener that it's okay. I don't have to be a tzaddik. It's okay to be a Beinoni.
In March of 2020, as part of our lecture series, we brought a speaker named Eva Schloss. We had over 1,000 people in attendance, and we were really excited to see how this is going to translate into further engagement. And then came the lockdown, the pandemic in 2020, and everything just ground to a halt. We were doing anything to be able to inject some meaning, some Judaism into people's lives during that difficult time. At the same time, for us, the mission never really changed. Knocking on doors once again, trying to find one person that we could enhance their lives and uncover the neshama a little more in whatever way that we could. During those difficult times, we started a beautiful program which eventually became our Hebrew School of the Arts. We called it Hebrew School House Calls. Beanie would visit children in their homes, they would pray together, they would study together, learn about holidays, Parsha, etc., just like you would in a typical Hebrew school. Some amazing and beautiful relationships came out of those times together.
Beanie came to our house to do Hebrew school with my children during COVID. That's the first time I actually was introduced to Chabad of Red Rock. In a very short amount of time, they learned Hebrew, they learned how to read. I started attending Chabad of Red Rock, the women Rosh Chodesh group. I think the main factor for me was when I started feeling that joining and coming to the events and the Shabbat services was feeling like you're coming to a family, a mishpacha.
I think that Chabad of Red Rock is the best Hebrew school because it includes arts and crafts, and it also includes learning Hebrew and having fun all at the same time. I really enjoy playing with the Rifkin kids because I have fun playing with them, and they teach me a lot of stuff too.
I grew up in a conservative synagogue and wasn't familiar with the Orthodox religion, so I was a little hesitant at first. I reached out to Beanie and Yosef Rivkin, and they invited us over into their home with my daughter and my husband. So we decided to give it a try, and we enrolled our daughter at Hebrew school, and we've been there 3 years since. I feel like the Chabad of Red Rock community is inviting, warm, welcome, an inclusive group of people who are non-judgmental, and I feel like we all share the same values that we want for our families.
When we ran our first program in the fall of 2021, it was like we hit reset on our organization. We're here today celebrating 10 years, but in a way, it's like we're celebrating 4 years. Jewish pride and participation has soared, and we've met so many wonderful people along the way. But throughout, our focus remains the same. One more mitzvah can transform the world. Each and every mitzvah lasts forever. So light Shabbat candles, put on tefillin, study some Torah. Each mitzvah you do is an eternal connection. Particularly after October 7th, there has been a rising awareness of our Jewish identity, and our job remains the same, to channel it into one more mitzvah.
After October 7th, I was feeling really alone in the world as a Jewish person, and I was feeling really worried for my son in terms of his Jewish identity and his Jewish pride. I had been reluctant to participate in Chabad, and our first event was their Hanukkah party in December of 2023, and from then on, I just wanted to be a part of it. We found in Chabad of Red Rock a Jewish community that we didn't even know that we needed, and a way to live proudly Jewishly. We've made so many friends. My son loves the Hebrew school. My husband wraps tefillin every day now. I love participating in Rosh Chodesh, as well as some private Torah study I've gotten to do with Beanie. It's just been such a fulfilling experience. I really can't imagine my life without it at this point.
My son had a different Hebrew school experience, which was like mine, which means not very good. And now he loves it and comes with questions that we discuss, and he's engaged with, and he's engaged in what we do together. So that really brought us into it and part of the community. For me, wrapping tefillin is a near daily ritual, and it's meaningful. It's a connection to my faith, and it's also, frankly, a connection to myself.
Initially, I was a little bit uncomfortable because I wasn't really involved in the Jewish community, but after a lot of time getting used to going to her house and everything, and after going on a few Sundays, I fell in love with Chabad Red Rock. Ever since I started going to Chabad Red Rock, I noticed that I started to do the Shabbat candles every Friday night, that I do more mitzvahs, and I help my community more.
After every event, David Scheinman comes over to me and he says, "So, how do you feel about it?" And my answer is always the same. I say, I'm always happy, never satisfied. I'm always happy because what did we do? We encountered some beautiful Jews, we did some mitzvahs together. That's exactly what we're here to accomplish. What's there not to be happy about? At the same time, we're never satisfied, because as long as Mashiach hasn't come, that means there's another Jew for us to meet and touch their lives. That's what we've done for the past 10 years, and that's exactly what we plan on doing for the next 10 years.
Chabad of Red Rock is uniquely built on personal relationships. Where else is each event held than in another warm and beautiful home? On that note, we also want to thank everyone who has hosted events for us over the last 10 years. Our hope is that even as we grow in the years to come, we will never lose that touch of the light of Torah and the warmth of community for each and every individual.